This is a content-based presentation of Physical and Health Education 2, the subject BESP-PHE22 for August 2017. I'm the presenter, Mrs. Ansie Stein. My email address is ansiestein@hotmail.com. Good day. This contact class is to help you prepare for the examinations of the subject BESP-PHE22. I will discuss some of the content of your study guide in order to help you prepare for the coming exams. By now, you should have a good idea what the subject is about because you have completed an assignment and studied the study guide systematically. Please note that I cannot give attention to the whole content, so should you have any questions, please contact me for help. You can either phone me or mail me. In the latter case, I can send you a well-constructed, detailed answer to your question. Please also note that you only need to study your study guide for these exams. This includes the assignment you completed. Before you study the actual content, you first need to acquaint yourself with the learning outcomes of each unit. These learning outcomes form the core of your studies and guide you through the content and can be found at the beginning of each unit. After you've studied this, you will know what the unit is all about. Thereafter, you must look at the learning activities which follow the learning outcomes. It will be wise to do all these activities to the best of your ability before looking at the answers at the end of each unit. After you've completed them, you can go back to the answers at the end of the unit and measure your knowledge against the complete answers. In this way, you will get to know the content and also will know how questions can be asked in the exams. The study guide contains adequate information and facts. It is not necessary to study from any other source for the exams. This study guide consists of 8 units and all units will be covered in the exams. So please do not leave out any unit when preparing for the exams. I'm going to discuss each unit separately and stress the most important facts. Please note that this presentation is not a discussion of the exam paper, but to help you with the most important content of this subject. Please make sure to take note of these and get to know the facts by heart. Remember that when answering a question, facts from different parts of the study guide can be applicable. It is not necessarily limited to one part of the guide. It is important to know that note that although physical and health education may seem as a non-exam subject for learners and a period where learners are encouraged to explore in a less formal environment, you as teacher should exactly know how to keep them busy and how and why certain activities should be presented. Therefore, the teacher should know certain facts about the subject, PHE, as well as the correct procedures regarding the presenting of PHE. It is therefore of utmost importance that you as student teachers should know facts regarding the subject PHE. I stress this because some students are of the opinion that this subject does not need to be studied for and then they do poorly in the exams. Take time to know your study guide in order to present adequate facts during the exams. Just a few hints for the examination before I discuss the units. Write neatly and legibly. You may use blue or black pen. Please do not even consider being dishonest. If found out, you will receive a 0 for the question paper. You may not leave the exam room before 30 minutes have expired, and if you do leave, you may not come back to continue answering the question paper. Also, you may not leave the exam venue during the last 15 minutes of the exam. Remember to sign the checklist. No smoking or eating is allowed in the room. Only paper provided by the invigilator will be accepted. So if you need more paper to answer questions, ask them to provide you with paper. This is very important. If you turn up 30 minutes after the exams have started, you will not be allowed to write, and this will result in no turn up. And make sure to know what is expected of you when a question is asked. Read through the action verbs, that's 6 at the beginning of the study guide. For example, define means you have to give the precise, brief meaning of something, and describe means you have to give detailed features of an issue. Please note that short answer questions will be asked, and the following kinds of questions will be asked: definitions of certain terminology and multiple choice questions. This means that a fact will be presented and you will have to choose the correct answer out of 2 or 3 possible answers. So you will have to know the content of the study guide in order to choose the correct answer. If you just guess the answer, the chance of choosing the correct answer will be only 1 out of 2 or 3, which is quite slim. Now I'm going to look at each unit separately, and the first one I'm going to discuss is Unit 1. This unit is about the aspects of the physiology of exercise and basic health. In this unit, 7 fitness terminology are explained, and you should know their meanings, meaning that you should be able to define them accurately. For example, power is the ability to perform one maximum effort in as short a period as possible. In this way, you must be able to explain what each terminology entails. As I mentioned before, the learning outcomes and activities play a huge role in your study plan. If you can answer the learning outcomes in detail, you know the content of that unit. After you've read through each unit, answer the learning activity questions on your own and look up the correct answers at the end of each unit to monitor whether you know the content of the specific unit. Remember that physical education is an important subject at school, and you should know facts in order to present it successfully. So facts are asked in the exams, not just an overview of the subject. I experienced that many students think they need to study this subject and then they do poorly in the exams. So one of their learning outcomes of Unit 1, for example, is to discuss the value of jogging and walking. Can you answer this? See 1.11 for the complete answer. Another learning outcome is to be able to discuss the importance of health and physical education in upper primary settings. To find the answer, turn to 1.5 in your study guide. Children are exposed to a passive lifestyle today because they spend much time on buses and in cars. They do not ride bikes that often anymore. So physical education helps them to be active. Children are by nature designed to be active, and you as teacher is able to help the child explore that physical side of them. Also, they experience the joy of exploring their own talents and acquiring skills they did not know they previously had. Another important aspect will also be that physical education contributes to the development of their social skills while they partake in sports. For instance, they learn that others should be taken into consideration when playing a game, and that communication with my fellow learner is necessary to achieve a goal in soccer, for example. But these are not the only facts regarding this topic. Study 1.5 to know them all. So when we turn to Unit 2, the aspects of movement theory and different types of fitness exercises are discussed. Warming up activities are discussed in 2.4, and also cardiorespiratory endurance activities in 2.5. Study to know them. In 2.5, cardiorespiratory endurance activities are discussed. For example, cross-country running and relay teams. There are 4 kinds of relay races described, like boat race, relay, tunnel relay, etc. Study to know what each kind of relay entails. In 2.13, methodology issues of physical education are discussed in detail. This means what kinds of methods a teacher should use when presenting a PE lesson, and also why this message should be used. I'm going to use an example. One method, for example, is to teach them one idea at a time, using short and clear instructions. And the reason being, children are more willing to listen if they know the instruction will be short and clear. Another method will be the concept of whole part, meaning that the teacher should first demonstrate the whole skill and then focus on the particular parts of the skill. And the reason being, they will be able to see what the end result can be, and then afterwards they are taught how to come to that end result. This method gives them an overview of a skill and will stimulate their interest to motivate them to try and achieve that skill. There are quite a few more methods of a PE teacher should know and use. Study to know them. Study the heading first, then what each heading entails. And this will give you a clear idea what the content is about. When we turn to Unit 3, it's a very interesting unit in the way that gymnastic exercises are discussed in such a way that the teacher will know exactly how certain exercises should be executed. Do you know that the exact procedure how learners should execute rope climbing, for instance? How rhythmic floor routines with music should be done in the correct way? Gymnastics have certain techniques to be mastered, and in 3.5, all these kinds of activities are named. For example, pike vault, cat spring vault, scissors vault. Study to know all the names of these activities which require certain techniques. Here again, you will notice that facts should be known in order to present PE in a meaningful and correct way. As in the other units, remember to study the learning activities. Now, Unit 4 is about training issues for primary athletes and management of sport events. One training issue is the warming up of primary athletes. See the typical warming up exercises in 4.2. Athletes are trained to improve their techniques, and each athletic item has its own unique exercises developed to the benefit of that certain item. The different kinds of exercises are discussed. For example, for short distance runners, for middle distance, for hurdles, shot put, etc. All these activities are different and the techniques will therefore be different. A coach should know them by heart in order to achieve good results with the athletes. I'm only going to discuss one, but you as teacher should know them all. In 4.6, the exercise beneficial for middle distance runners are discussed. Examples for exercises for grade 6 runners are to run smoothly for about 400 to 800 meters. Pacing should be slow drive and less knee lift than in sprinting. The upper body must be kept straight. The arms must be relaxed. Run continuously but effortlessly. This training should be repeated regularly. Now for grade 7s, the training is more intense. See that in 4.6. Because athletics requires specific skills, the teacher or the coach should know, for example, how relay handover methods should take place in order to coach them to the learners. See 4.8 for this and to study to know the 3 types of handovers and what each one of them entail. I just now said that you as teacher or coach should know certain athletics techniques. But what are the qualities of a good coach? There are many. I'm only going to name a few. He or she should have a deep understanding of the sport, should motivate the students, should communicate well, and command respect, which is owned, not forced upon. Must stick to the code of conduct. These are only a few good qualities. Study 4.20 to know them all. Now we finish with Unit 4. Let's look at Unit 5. This is about sport skills and rules. This is a very interesting practical unit in the sense that the rules of certain games are discussed, like for cricket or volleyball or hockey. But sport should be played also keeping in mind certain safety measures on the playground and also during physical education activities, which should be adhered to. In 5.11, these rules are set out. Very important to know them so that you can apply them. Because physical education is executed in a more relaxed atmosphere, these rules are of vital importance. Therefore, a teacher should also know by heart how to go about when one of the learners hurt themselves. When handled wrongly, an injury can cause much pain and discomfort and even turn out to be of a serious nature. So make sure how to handle this in the absolute correct way. See 5.12 for this. In 5.13, the value of keeping to the rules are discussed. This is a very important topic and should be studied in detail. Make sure to know the facts regarding this subject. Unit 6 is about games to develop fitness and sport skills. So games for pairs, small and large groups, and tag and dodging games are discussed. In 6.6, the different traditional African games are set out. An important topic is 6.8, lesson preparation for a lesson based on a game. Guidelines to prepare for such a lesson are set out, like to first decide which kind of game will be presented. Will it be rounders, soccer, or a game for small groups? Then, what equipment will be needed? The structure? How will you introduce the game? How will you engage and make sure that all learners will take part in the game? How will you as teacher assess the learners to find out that all learners acquired the particular skills? Make sure the lesson is fun so that learners are continually motivated. You will also notice that these are the guidelines and not specific activities. So study this part also. Another much spoken topic is how to maintain order during a PE class, but still enjoying the lesson. Because PE usually takes place in a less structured situation, a teacher should know how to maintain order in a positive way here too, because such a lesson can easily end up in chaos. Study 6.9 in detail to know how to achieve your goals in this atmosphere, but still enforce a certain level of discipline. Just one hint would be to make sure you are well prepared and the applicable equipment is available, but you should know them all. Unit 7, dance activities are discussed. Important here to know are the elements children need to understand in order to appreciate rhythm as set out in 7.3. For example, tempo is one of the elements of rhythm. This refers to the speed of the movement, and it can be practiced by rope jumping using different tempos. There are 4 more elements. Study them in detail, the headings as well as the applicable discussions. Also important are the value of dancing with style as set out in 7.5. Unit 8 is about health promotion. We all know that physical education is good for mental as well as physical health. In 8.3, the importance of physical education and how health and fitness promote a quality lifestyle is discussed. Overall health, improved energy levels, weight maintenance, bone strengthening, mental strength and appearance are the benefits of a fit and healthy body. Study the discussions of each benefit in order to understand the importance. Then, in contrast, the consequences of being unhealthy and unfit is discussed in 8.4. These facts can be taught to learners to make them aware of the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, and to teach learners the health dangers of drugs, for instance, of alcohol and nicotine, will contribute to make them aware of a healthy, fit body. Study 8.9 in this regard. A last reminder to look at the learning outcomes as said previously. Now, this concludes my discussion of the 8 units of the study guide. Please note that time does not allow me to discuss the whole content of the guide, but many important facts were discussed during this class. Make sure to give attention to them. We now have worked through the study guide and highlighted the most important content. Start studying by working through the study guide systematically and doing it unit by unit, giving special attention to the content of this contact class. Good luck with this. Start early and study every day. Even if it's only half an hour of constructive study per day, it will help you getting acquainted with the work. I invite you to contact me should you have any questions or uncertainties regarding your subject. My cell phone number is 081 277 5321. You may contact me during the day up to 8 o'clock in the evening, with the exception of Sundays. Most students are considerate in this regard, and I really appreciate this. Enjoy the studies and do your best.